Hello and welcome to Dan Talks United. So, international break. Just wanted to use this opportunity to talk about what we need to improve the team, both short term and long term. So, we're in position, we're in 7th in the league. There is a bit of a improvement, I would say, this season so far. Overall, if you look at it overall, there is some improvement. So I don't think we can just stand still. So I do think we do need to take opportunity in the January transfer market. We've also got to also think about players that need to go to or will be going to the AFCON. So we're going to lose Mbeumo, we're going to lose Ahmad, and we don't know how long they're going to be away for. Obviously, it is sad that Mbeumo won't be going to the World Cup. I believe Onana is to blame for that, or partly to blame for that. And there's every chance that it will be Onana's fault that Mbeumo comes back sooner than we think in January. Now, obviously, we want our players to go away for their countries and do really well. I think it benefits us. Comes back with that winning mentality. However, from a selfish point of view, you don't want them gone for too long. So, not just because of that reason, but I think we do need to dip into that January transfer market. I think we do need to improve further. I think that's a good opportunity to just give us a bit of a boost into the new year and to push us on to May and try and get as high a finish as possible. And ultimately, if we're clever in January, that might mean that we finish in a decent position and hopefully European spots, which will then increase our ability to sign better players. And that's got to be the goal. So for me, short term, what I think that we need is, some people might argue that we need to just do a complete overhaul apart from the signings that have done well so far, like your Mbeumo's and Cunha's done okay. Le Mans, for example. I don't think we need to go that far per se. I think we just need to do a bit of a tweak in January and then think again and look again in sort of May time. So for me, I'd be saying that we need I still think we need a left wing back because I'm not fully sold on Dorgu. I think he's had a decent performance in that last game. I think there's something there. I just don't know if we're going to get it out of him, what we actually need. And for me, in that left wing back position, we do need someone that's, as I would say, marauding in the sense of they can do both back and forward. So what I mean by that is that there is a good level of defensive capability in the sense of one-on-ones, interceptions are high. When it comes to corners and free kicks, that they've got enough height or leap to at least try and cut the ball out, stop it getting into the centre of the area where possible. And then going forward, I'm not saying that they need to have, unbelievable skills and step overs and all this sort of stuff, but I need you to be able to have a bit of pace, have a bit of trickery, be able to beat your man and cross the ball in. And to be honest, I don't think that's asking too much. So for me, I feel we do need a left wing back that can do all of that. And I think we'd definitely benefit from that because we really need to up our creativity down that left-hand side. Also, I think it'd be useful to have a midfielder, even if it's a bit of a stopgap, even if it's a bit of a rotational midfielder, so that midfielder can come in on loan for me in January and just give us that little bit extra when midfielders are getting tired, like Casemiro. I feel that the standard drops when he leaves the pitch, which is really telling. The standard of our squad when Casemiro, who's whatever age he is now, coming to the end of his career, he leaves the pitch and the standard just drops. It's debatable whether him coming off is linked to us conceding, but looking at stats without looking at the full picture anyway, that's the way it's looking. So we do need to have it where someone comes on, they're energetic, they can close down the opposition, they can intercept, they can look for, the easy passes if necessary, and just sort of keep that balance going, because that person needs to be energetic around Bruno, because Bruno isn't always disciplined and isn't always the best at stopping the opposition. So we just need somebody that can just run around Bruno and fill in when Casemiro leaves the pitch, basically. So just to look at some options for January. So January is a funny window, really. For me, I don't agree that you shouldn't buy in January, as has been said in the past by the execs at Manchester United in the past. So like Murta came out with that in the past. But I think, again, when we're in a position that we're in and we do need to improve and we just need that boost, there's arguments both sides. So you can say there's no value then, but then we've had Bruno in January, for example. Back in the day, we got Evra and Vidic. Okay, they didn't start off that well, but it was probably useful bringing him in then for him to then get used to the Premier League and then be ready for the next season. And we all know how Vidic and Evra turned out. And again, both January signings, other teams have done the same, so it can work. So I don't think we should just be closed off from it, especially when we need that improvement. So Conor Gallagher comes up quite a lot. I'm currently playing at Atletico Madrid. So Gallagher, from what we've seen of him in the Premier League in the past, when he played at Chelsea and then he went to Palace, did he, for a bit? Very energetic. Reminds me of Mount in a sense in terms of that energy. Gets about the pitch really well, up and down. And it's just like having I suppose, a marathon runner in your midfield, which isn't a bad thing. And I'm not discounting him saying that he doesn't have the technicality, because I do believe he's a decent player. It's just, I think, to have someone like that coming onto the pitch when Casemiro goes off, it just raises that energy again. And I think the rest of the team can feed off that. And like I say, he's had some really good performances for Chelsea. I think Chelsea sort of sold him for that sort of PSR sort of thing. I don't think I know a lot of the fans were up in arms about it when he was leaving, because, like I say, he's all heart, he's full of energy, he plays for the badge, and he is a decent player. So it's an option. The only thing is, I'd say, just looking at stats now, he's not there for goal scoring anyway, but he scored one goal for Atletico. For the 12 matches that they've had this season, he's only started 2, so he's not really playing for them very much. Not sure why, because I must admit I don't watch La Liga to really know. I think in his first time when he went over there, he played a lot more. I'm not sure why he's not playing much now, but that could be the opportunity to bring him in. I'm sure he's going to want to try and push and have that last push to try and get into the England squad, which could be a possibility for him. So he may be up for that move. The only thing is, the last time I saw any news on this, Atletico was still putting him up there highly in terms of value. I'm not sure they was open for a loan either. So they probably will want quite a high loan fee and maybe an obligation to buy as well. So I'm not sure that's going to be possible. For me, I don't think we should commit to anything. I'd take him on loan, yes, but would I buy him now, or would I do an obligation to buy? I don't think so. I think I'd need to see how he did from January till May and make a decision then. So I don't think it would be wise for Man United to do that if it was anything to do with me, which it isn't, but if it was, I wouldn't do that. Now, a bit of a wild card, really, in terms of another option is, and it keeps coming up, I'm just looking at things now, João Gomez at Wolves. Again, not seen much of him. I've not taken much notice of Wolves. I know that they're not doing particularly well this season. And again, that could be an option, but would they want to let one of their best performers leave in January, especially if they're quite down there and facing relegation at the minute? I know they've got a new coach that's come in as well, so I'm sure as a new coach, you're not going to want
your better players to leave, especially in January. So again, bit of a wild card purely because the I suppose the chances of it happening in January is probably slim. However, can't comment too much on him because I have seen him play. Does look a decent player, but I've not seen much of him this season to see how he's getting on this season. But again, if you could get him in January, it could be an option. Again, another sort of stopgap sort of scenario. What I wouldn't want to do is spend too much money on a stopgap because it does impact then on the number one midfielders for like the summer. So just to go on to the long-term signings and who or what I think we need for the summer to then kick us on and take us into the next stages, really, of this rebuild, if we can still call it that. So I feel, as I was saying earlier, if we didn't address it in January, that is, that we need a left wing back for reasons that I said earlier. I also feel that we need a 6, so someone that's going to replace Casemiro. So obviously, I don't know if they're going to renew Casemiro's contract. Whether they do or don't, I still feel that we need to bring in a 6 that can, if he's still there, learn from Casemiro and just get those additional refining tips, really. Because obviously, if you are looking at certain midfielders, I would say, especially with the policy that's in situ at the minute, you are looking at a probably 25 years old or younger. So they can still learn from Casemiro if he's still there. I feel that we'll need another 8 as well, especially if Bruno leaves. Not so desperate if Bruno doesn't leave, purely because whoever comes in probably won't displace Bruno. Doesn't generally get injured either, so the chances of playing is very slim. Obviously, if we're in Europe, it might slightly make a difference, but I would say that definitely get one in if Bruno left. Not as important because I think De Ligt does really well. Maguire does as well, but as in the centre back role, Maguire though just seems to be getting sort of going into that category of injury prone. So I'm not sure how much we can rely on Maguire. De Ligt really like how he's been playing, but again, he always gives me that feeling that he's not far off from an injury. But for me, I think if we got another centre back coming in, I want that player to be pacey, aggressive, dominant in the air, dominant in his box. And like I say, I really like, obviously no chance for us to buy him, but I really like Mickey van der Ven. I think if we could get somebody, a player in that sort of mould, I think we'd really kick us on and improve us because of his pace. He has got aggression. He has got that level of dominance. He's good going the other way as well in terms of carrying the ball forward. So to get a player like that would really improve us. Backup goalkeeper is going to be needed because I think we'd all have nightmares if Lamond's got injured and Bayandera had to come back in, or worse still, Onana, because I'm not sure we're going to sell him. So we could do with a backup goalkeeper. Whether that's bringing Vitek back, because I think he's looking pretty good on loan, or whether that is just buying one in. But we do need to have a keeper that we can have a level of trust in if Lamond's either needs a rest or gets injured. And then lastly, I would say that we could do with a backup striker to Sesko, or an older striker for Sesko to learn from. One of the two, but we could do with, because like now, with Sesko injured, if we were to play tomorrow, I have no idea who would be playing up front. You could try Xerxes, but he's not really a striker. I don't always like that false 9 approach where you've got either Mbuma or Cunha playing that role. I really prefer to have that sort of target man who you can put your hat on to score a goal. Not that you can't with Mbeumo, but I just feel he's better suited to that right 10. So, going into transfers then, in terms of what we've been linked to, just looking at stats again. Adam Wharton, I'll start with Adam Wharton. This season, 9 matches, 9 starts. And he's been up there in terms of his performances, I believe. So looking at stuff like successful dribbles, because if we want our midfielder to sort of do both sides of the role, where it's defensive and attacking, successful dribbles, he's got 7. His dribble success rate is 63.6. In terms of defending, there's like a color coding system, what I'm looking at here. So he's got his tackles and his duels in the sort of orange area, so sort of that medium area. And then his duel percentage is in the red area, to be honest, because it's below 50%. Aerial duels is quite low as well. Interceptions are in the green area, so they've been pretty decent this season, and ball recoveries. So that's Wharton. So to go on to, I think we'll look at Baleba next. So as we know, I don't think Baleba's played particularly that well this season. He has started most of Brighton's matches, according to this, 11 matches, 10 starts. In terms of passing, so quite up there in terms of passing and chance creations, all in green, to be fair to him. But in terms of defensive, looking at, again, that sort of amber orange and some reds there. So, like I say, overall, I don't believe he's played as well this season. Obviously, he had his what I'd call his audition against us when we played him and beat him 4-2, and I don't particularly feel he played that well in that game, to be honest. Going on to Anderson, which seems to be a lot of people's pick at the moment, because he, if you want to call it his audition against us when we played Forest, he played really well. I thought he did well being aggressive with our forwards, especially Mbeumo. Kept Mbeumo quiet, to be honest, doing the double team on him. Showed his range of passing in that game. Showed his technicality. Showed why he's in the England side recently as well. So again, he started all the matches for Forest this season so far. Performance-wise, again, passing's pretty good in the greens. Pass accuracy 86%. Possession, successful dribbles 14. Dribble success is 51%. So it's in the green. So yeah, in terms of his stats in the attacking point of view, are looking pretty good in terms of just keeping the ball and keeping it ticking over. Defensive wise, again, tackles 29, duels 82, so all in green. Duels 115, again in green. His duel percentage one is a little bit higher than I think it was for Wharton, 54%. Recovery is 92, again, high green. So having a good season, I think, Elliot Anderson. So there's obviously conflicting reports in regards to how much he's going to cost if we was to buy him. So I believe it's probably going to be a lot higher if you were to try and buy him in January. So I don't see that being on the table. But if you wait till the summer, there is something that Ben Jacobs was saying the other day. It's not quite a release clause, but there is some contractual agreements in there where if you're a team coming to Forest to buy him and you're in the in Europe, for example, that might cost a certain amount. If they get relegated, it might cost a certain amount. If you're a top 4 team, top 6 team, there may be something there as well. There may be some teams that Anderson said, if that team comes for me, let me go scenario, because you sometimes get those gentlemen's agreements as well. So all very confusing, all not very clear what's going on there, but there's a possibility that he may be available in the summer, and it might be something to look at. As it stands, he would be my pick. But for yourselves, what do you think? Please put your comments below. Who do you think we should sign in terms of midfielder? What sort of positions do you think we should be bringing in? What do you think is going to improve us? Put all those comments below. Again, thanks for watching Dan Talks United. Please subscribe because it's really important to new channels such as this. Let's grow as a community and let's go move forward. Please like, please share, and I will see you on the next one.